The idea of Judaism begins with Avraham. Avraham takes the responsibility. He says, this world is not the way it should be. This world could be a better place. Avraham understands that God is infinite. He understands something which none of the pagans understood, and the world still doesn't understand, and there are quote-unquote monotheists who still don't understand it. And there are Orthodox Jews who still don't understand what Avraham tried to teach. And that is that God needs nothing from us. There is nothing that we can do for God. I hate to tell you this, but if you pray tomorrow morning and if you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and if you go to the mikveh and you then go down to the kotel and you pray, you will not make God's day. You will not put a smile on His face. You cannot do anything for God. That is a pagan idea. The pagan idea is that you try to placate the gods. You try to make the gods happy. You try to give something to the gods. There is nothing we can do for God. God is infinite. God is beyond time. God is beyond space. God is beyond matter. There is absolutely nothing that we can do that can affect God. And we refuse to understand this. We refuse. We just keep on thinking that if we do a good deed, we will make a deal with God. God will take care of us. We'll take care of Him, He'll take care of us, and everything will be okay. Or some people think even better, I'll do one thing good, and that'll sort of cross out the 6 bad things that I did. We got a deal going over here. Give a little charity, now everything's worked out. And you know why we think that? Because we're all pagans. That is a pagan concept. And the truth is, till we realize this, we can't go and have a deep relationship with God, and it remains superficial. And again, superficiality is one of the worst things that man has. Because it comes from the same core as avoiding meaning. We'll just look at things superficially. And even people on the right track insist on looking for superficiality. Abraham's understanding of God, which was that if God is infinite, therefore there is nothing I can do for God, but there is one thing that I can do. And that is to try to be like God. I can try to emulate God. God creates the world as an act of kindness. So therefore Avram understands that he too should be kind. And Avram's basic morality is based upon his desire of imitating, emulating God. Yes?
If there's nothing we can do for God, why does God ask us to do things?
For us. Answer. Go ahead, answer.
For yourself.
For yourselves. It affects us.
He's asking us to do it for us, but not.
Absolutely. Absolutely, for ourselves. And that's part of what we have to understand. It's not like God is affected. For sure. The Torah speaks of God's anger at times, and God's anger is generally an anthropomorphism, which is a fancy way of saying giving God human qualities. It's for us to understand the idea. But again, if God is infinite and unchanging, then you can't affect God. Ultimately, God is beyond time, space, and matter. Ultimately, all of history for God is like a moment that wasn't. So again, it's an anthropomorphism in order to make sure that the world remains the sort of place that He would like it to be. But again, when we start to speak about things from God's perspective, we will more likely than not get ourselves into trouble. Because it's difficult, if not impossible, for us to understand that perspective without getting into the deep Kabbalistic concepts, which we would have to begin to enter to understand some of these things. I would say right away we should recognize that when we speak of God, we can speak of two different things. We can speak of God on His terms and speak of God on our terms. God on His terms is something completely beyond us. And many of the Kabbalists and rationalists alike said that when we speak of God, be quite careful because we don't even have words for it. We don't have language to describe it. How do you describe God? What do you say? This is a problem. The terms that we end up using are terms which are quite limited. When I speak of Let's think about people for 1 second. If I say God is the creator of the universe, that sounded pretty good. If I say God is all powerful, that sounded pretty good. Did I really then get into the essence of what God is? Let's think about people for a moment. If you see a man walking down the street, you say to me, "Who's that man?" I say, "That man is." I can then say, "He's my father. He's my friend. He's my lawyer. He's a lawyer. He's my tennis partner. And you can keep on talking about him. And just about every single word that you use will be a description, and will not talk about the person's essence. We never ask, I don't want to know what the relationship is. I want to know who that person is. I mean, in terms of the depth, the existential depth, it's not even existential, the axiological depth of who the depth of who this person is, but we never ask that question. The only time we ever allow ourselves to ask it, it's quite sad, but the only time we ever ask it is after a person's dead. And you say, no, who died? My friend, the lawyer. No, I don't. But who was he? What was he about? It's because that we're so selfish quite often, if not all the time. We're so selfish. We look at people in utilitarian terms. What can we gain from them? Oh, he's my father. That talks about the relationship. He's my lawyer. That talks about the relationship. It's things that we can gain from the person. And we never ask, who is this person? What is their essence? What is unique about them? What is the song of their soul, which is secret, which is unlike the song of any other person? What is it that they contribute to this universe that nobody before them and nobody after them will contribute? What is unique about this person? We never ask that. We're afraid to ask that question. It's too personal, and we're afraid very often to let anybody see what's unique within us. Even people that we're quite close to. It's too painful, and sometimes, very often, we're even afraid to ask ourselves that same question. What is it about ourselves which is unique? And by the way, when we speak about man being in the image of God, that's exactly what we speak about.